Hello and welcome. I'm Cassandra Paolini, Divine Energy Healing, and today we're going through a unique meditation. Now, for some, it is known as the Heavenly Circuit, and whether Heavenly Circuit or Small Heavenly Circuit, and that is what I had learned in medical Qigong. It has 11 points for us to pay attention to. There is also the microcosmic orbit, and that one has a few more points in it. So I thought today perhaps we could give ourselves the opportunity. They're incredibly similar, it's just one has more points than the other for us to pay attention to. And so as we go through the meditation and visualization, really focusing on the points, I think maybe 10 minutes for each, and we'll see how that goes. So first and foremost, we need to introduce you to them. And we're going to share our screen. So we have a lot of pictures opened up here. We're going to start with this one. So when we, see if I can't open that up to full screen. And if we go here, I don't know if that'll help with what you're seeing at all. So for the Small Heavenly Circuit, and I'm just going to zoom and lift, zoom and lift. There we go. So we are doing a rotation within us. Now I have done this before on Learn It Live. There is a video in my library, and I describe it as we keep going around and breathing. We're not doing that today. I want this to be a practice where you're going to be comfortable should you come back to it to work in one 10-minute or the other 10-minute and enjoy the process. Now, we start off in our lower dantian, and for these, we are going to give you the opportunity to see a few things. So remembering that we've got lower dantian, middle dantian, upper dantian. So we begin in our lower dantian, and we just take a few deep breaths, diaphragmatic breaths, and then we are starting in the one point, which some might call it our sex organs. You can think of it more like the sacral, if you like, and I just think of it more like the pelvic bone, if nothing else. And we drop into we're dropping into the perineum, which it can also be considered the root chakra. And these are also known as Ren 1 and Ren 2. As we do, this is also your Huyin point. And I'm not going to do all the Chinese terms for this, which I do have, but I would butcher the language, I'm afraid. So we start off and we are basing ourselves. So as we work with the functional channel, which is the feminine energy down the front, and or the conception vessel or conception channel, depending on which way you wish to use it. And then it's the governing channel that goes up the back, which takes us into masculine energy, also known as the Renmai and the Dumai. So when we breathe, we're actually starting, this is a convergence point of the energy. So it's where this meets and this one begins. And so in actual fact, we start here and we drop as we inhale up the back, focusing on the points. So we're focusing from the tailbone to, I like to say, the base of the spine, up to the behind the heart, to the back of the neck, up to the cerebellum or occipital point, or base of skull, however you want to refer to it, up to the crown, around to the third eye. Then you're exhaling down the front, and we start in the, I'll say the mouth sort of area. And as we're breathing down through the heart, again, through the belly, through the sacral, if you will, or Ren 2, and then dropping it back to the perineum. We are visualizing as we do this. And I just am wondering if it will allow me to. No, it doesn't. I don't know if I have to go back and see what's on the front screen. No, it's not. It won't let me. It won't let me switch over as we go through. So I'm just going to have to close and then reopen as we demonstrate another one. So again, circling. This is a great example. So where you can see the Renmai, the conception vessel, as it starts, and you can think of it as the mouth point, not just the mouth point, but it's actually on the palate. And that's very important because actually while we're breathing through this, so spine nice and straight, ears over shoulders, over hips, chin is tucked in, tongue against the roof of the mouth, upper palate. Your tongue can touch gently the front of your teeth. Lips are just softly closed. They can fall open a little bit if you like. You can close your eyes if you want to keep energy in your body. As you breathe, as you're breathing up the back and down the front. So the Huiyin point, so you're breathing up and you're just paying attention. So that's why it was like sometimes I would stand and I would just be like starting in my perineum and I'm breathing and I would knock my tailbone, knock the lower back, knock behind the heart, knock behind the neck, knock at the base of the skull, knock the crown, knock the third eye. And now I know that that was my inhale up. I'm exhaling down, where now I can just be like, I'm exhaling down, coming down as I drop back in to the perineum again, taking my next breath. And this is how it goes. So your inhale, exhale as we come down. And so inhale, exhale. I'm hoping you can see that as I'm playing with this, my mouse, as we go through. So if I were to do this, we're inhaling up, and as we're inhaling, we're focusing. It's like, think of it as you visualize yourself. If you want to take your finger and draw it up your back, so that way, as you're drawing your finger up your back, you're like tailbone, base of spine. Now they're calling this the gate of life. I know this as the door of life. Back opposite the heart, opposite the throat, the cerebellum, occipital point, base of skull, whatever word you wish to use, up to the crown and around to the third eye. You can think pituitary, you can think just your brow. And now we're exhaling as we're coming down from there, as we're running through. So if you want to think of it as the throat, the heart, the sacral, back down to the root. So for those of you who know the chakra system, you can think of it greatly that way. And that's going to come into play once we think about the microcosmic orbit. So now I'm just going to stop this one for a moment. And I'm not going to, because I'm not showing you the pictures while we're doing this. We're going to breathe through them, but I want you to pay attention to what it is that we're doing so you understand the points. Now, next, I want to just make sure that everyone does know as we, I guess it helps if I share a screen. I can open up all I want if I'm not sharing it with you. It's not going to help you. So everyone knows we have our upper dantian, middle dantian, lower dantian. We also know this in many cultures as center of wisdom, center of love, center of power. And they are, don't think chakras. These are powerful, strong energy points. It just happens to be in the location of the third eye, the heart, and, well, a bit more like the sacral at this point in time. So remember that we have these main points. And the reason for that being is because once you're breathing down your front, you're passing through. And you can see a convergence channel if you want, going up the front, up the back and down the front. And you can see it as we have in Hindi culture, it's considered the prana tube, the life force, the energy that comes within us. This then becomes incredibly important when, last one, when we now go through the microcosmic orbit. I'm just going to enlarge that one. So now this one has something more points for us to pay attention to. And the microcosmic orbit pays attention to all of the chakras. So all the chakra system. And it makes I'll say an effort with that, where you can see that the microcosmic orbit, rather than the heavenly circuit is very Chinese based in tradition, where the microcosmic orbit now has taken it a little more Western based as they're doing this using the same principles. But now, as we are dropping into our perineum and we're breathing up the tailbone, so think of this opposite, the tailbone. So think root, tailbone, navel, solar plexus, heart, throat, base of skull again, the cerebellum, up to the crown, all the way around to the eyebrow center, which is your third eye. And now, as we exhale into the throat, the heart, solar plexus, navel, and back down to sex organs again and into the perineum. The governing channel comes up our back, and that's masculine energy. You want to think the yang energy. And as we exhale down the front, this is now our yin energy, our female or feminine energy, the functioning channel or the conception, whichever one you wish to use. And you can use governing channel or governing vessel, and functional or conception vessel or channel. And you might find that I end up choosing whichever word comes out most naturally. So we inhale, and as you're inhaling, you're just paying attention that I'm coming up and I'm making all of these points. And then again, upper dantian, middle dantian, lower dantian. Because as we breathe, we want to empower our dantian, but we also want to bring light through the crown, and we want to empower the upper dantian, middle dantian, and lower dantian with this. Okay. So I hope that is fairly clear for everyone as we begin. So we can do this seated. You can do this standing. Today I'm doing it seated, and that's nice and easy. So we're going to start by taking a few deep breaths in and out through only the nose, breathing from the diaphragm. To make sure that you're doing that breath, you can put your hands there, your fingers there, and you want to feel that they are what's moving. To make sure that you're doing it correctly, you're breathing from the diaphragm. The hand on your belly should be what moves. The hand on your chest should be nice and stable. And close your eyes, and remember getting all of our locks into place. So ears over shoulders, over hips, spine nice and straight for this one. Chin tucked in. You can put a smile on your face. Tongue against the roof of the mouth. Put it on the upper palate. And as we lock, now as you're sitting here, the dog was very excited. As you're sitting here, you can choose to tilt your pelvis in, bringing the tailbone then down more straight to the earth. I leave that entirely up to you. When I stand to do this, 100%, I get myself into a Qigong stance, and therefore you're tightening the pelvic area, you're tightening as though you're doing a Kegel, because you're activating the Huyin, which is that perineum at the bottom, which actually amplifies your energy. So if you're standing for this, you can do everything the same, and then you can just tilt your pelvis slightly. So think of it as tailbone is going straight down to the earth, belly button is being pulled into the spine as you tilt and come forward, and you're just tightening the perineum, you're tightening the floor of your pelvis, if you will. And for those who know what a Kegel is, think of it like a Kegel. So as we breathe, we're going to take this now, remembering that we are coming from our lower dantian. You set your intentions, whatever it is that you wish for this, bringing our mind and our body and our energy all together, being very aware and present in this moment as we breathe. Now we're going to take our breath. We're going to start to breathe just calmly, breathing up the back, all the way up, and just feel as you're exhaling down the front. You just want to take a few breaths like this so you can get the rhythm. Inhaling as energy is coming up the back, and exhaling, energy comes down the front. Inhaling up the back, and exhaling down the front. So as you inhale, as the governing channel of the back, and exhale, the conception channel down the front. Inhale, right up the spine, up and over the head. Exhale, down the front, right down your medial line of the front. You're going to start thinking about that you're working with every breath. Breathe in. You're working with your meridians. You're working with the feminine and the masculine meridians. You're working with your chakras. As you're circulating this energy, you're working with your energetic field. Breathing in and out. Now, as you breathe in, you're going to pay attention. Paying attention as I start from my perineum, right on the pelvic floor. I'm going to breathe up. I'm going to focus on my tailbone. Keep breathing, focusing on the base of my spine. Breathing up, focusing on the back of the heart chakra. Breathing up, focusing on the back of the throat. Breathing up, focusing on the base of the skull. Bringing it up, focusing on the crown. And around, focusing on the third eye. Now as you exhale, thinking of the throat, the heart. You can go solar plexus, navel, sex organs as you come down. You want to bring yourself back into your perineum. Pause within each breath. Breathe in, breathing that energy up the back, bringing that attention to your tailbone, all the way up as you come up to the crown, around to the third eye, and exhaling down as you focus on the throat, the heart, the navel, and back into the perineum. Inhaling up the back, tailbone. Think base of the spine, heart, neck, base of the skull, crown, third eye, and down the front. Just paying attention to the throat, the heart, the navel, and back around to the perineum. Breathing up, paying attention, just thinking it, paying attention to those points. The tailbone, the base of the spine, the back of the heart, the back of the neck, back of the skull, the crown, the third eye, and exhaling down the front. Keeping that focus now as you breathe in all the way up the back and around to the third eye, and breathe out from the mouth to the throat, to the heart, to the navel, and into the perineum. Breathe in right up the back, as though you feel this line just coming all the way up your spine, all the way to the skull and around the third eye, and exhaling as that same line gets drawn all the way down the front, right back down to your pelvic floor. Breathing in up the back, all the way around to the crown and third eye, and exhale right down the front line. Breathe in up the back. Exhale down the front. Breathe in up the back, around to the third eye, and exhale down the front. Breathe in Exhale out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. I want you to pause as we're just starting in our lower belly. Think of your lower dantian. And it's as though you're coming right on the front of your body. So we want to keep our focus on the front of our body. Think of it like we're drawing up the skin and the energy channels. I want you to start right where the sacral is. And as we breathe in, we're just going to drop. We're going to drop down to the perineum. And then we're going to inhale up the back. Again, the tailbone, the base of the spine, the heart, the throat, the base of the skull, up to the crown. And then I'll let it float into the third eye. And then as we exhale, exhaling from the mouth and throat, the heart, all the way down again to our belly. Breathe in all the way up. And exhale all the way down. Breathing in all the way up. And exhaling all the way down. Just feel that energy flow. Take a few breaths on your own now. You'll find that in any Qigong practice, or even just throughout your day, you wanted to just take the opportunity to do the small heavenly circuit. Even just the 3 breaths. You'll find that the more you are literally controlling and moving your energy, the better you'll feel. Your visualization, intent are very important. And again, if you can't visualize, use your finger to draw that energy. So that way you have something very tactile that works with you. And now, without much change at all, we're going to just now focus on more points as we're breathing up. So again, as we had mentioned, we're going to breathe. And so just think of yourself in your belly area. And you're just letting that energy go down into your perineum. And just think of it as you're taking that breath. So you're taking that breath and around. But I just want you to feel that energy in the lower abdomen. And then I want you to, as you inhale, it's like you're pulling up from the perineum. So just feel as though when you're coming down the front on that exhale, you're exhaling into the lower belly. And it's that pause, that movement, that interchange in between that brings you into the perineum. As you inhale up the back and then exhaling down the front. And as you inhale, starting with the perineum, the root, you inhale. And I want you to feel it as though you're going from the tailbone to the opposite of your navel, to the opposite of the solar plexus, up the back, opposite of the heart, opposite of the throat. And you can think of the cerebellum as you're coming around to the crown and to the third eye. And then just feel it in your upper palate as you exhale down your throat, your heart, solar plexus, navel, and really feel it in your sex organs as we're now that moment, that interchange as we start in the perineum again. Think of that. Root chakra, inhaling up. We're inhaling up through the sacral, the navel, solar plexus, the heart, the throat, cerebellum, the crown, the third eye, and exhaling as we're going right through our throat, our heart, our solar plexus, our navel, and our sacral. Back into the root at the bottom, right on our perineum. Just think of that convergence of that energy. We're working with the feminine and the masculine, working with the yin and the yang as we go through each of these channels. Think of yourself breathing up the governing channel, breathing out down the functional channel. As you're bringing all of this energy and awareness to you and your body. Breathing from the perineum up. And think about the tailbone. Think of that like your sacrum pump. It's just going to pump an esoteric energy up through your body, up through the navel, the kidneys, the solar plexus, the heart, the throat, all the way up to the base of the skull as it comes around to the crown and the third eye, the pituitary. And then we're breathing down from our throat, our heart, our solar plexus, the navel, and the sacral. Back again into the root, the perineum, breathing all the way up and feel as that sacrum pumps the energy right from the tailbone in through the kidneys, the solar plexus, the heart, the throat, the base of the skull, all the way up the back around to the crown. And now bringing ourselves to our third eye and down the front, throat, heart, solar plexus, navel, sacral. Breathing up the back. And I get to that base of that skull. Now I think this is your cranial pump. So now it's going to have a little more energy as it brings it around from the crown and the third eye. As we exhale down the front, feeling that in the lower belly. Sink down into your perineum as you breathe up the back. All the way around, and just feel like an activation point right at your cerebellum, the base of the skull, occipital point. What word do you want to use? It's also known as the mouth of God and the well of dreams. Think of that cranial pump. Think of that energy revitalizing through the crown, the third eye. Feel it filling your brain as you exhale down the front through the throat, the heart, the solar plexus, the navel, and the sacral. Back into the perineum. From the root, we're breathing up the back, the tailbone. Think of it opposite navel, opposite solar plexus, opposite heart, opposite throat. Right back up to that cranial pump at the base of the skull, up to the crown, down to the third eye, and exhaling down the front, throat, heart, solar plexus, navel. So for those who are familiar with your chakra system, just feel that. Feel we've got energy points that are coming out on the front and the back of our body. Because our chakras aren't little tiny things inside of us. They come right to, they can come right out into our energy field. And we want to work back and front, inhaling up the back. And I want you to pay attention to all of those. We're paying attention to all the 7 chakras in addition to the navel. We're also paying attention to the cerebellum, which again, also known as the well of dreams. As you exhale down the front, you're paying attention to all the energy points, navel and sacral, once you reach your lower area. Starting from the root, we're breathing up the back. Feel yourself touching on all those points. So we want to feel ourselves in 14 points. That's 6 perineum, so at the bottom, the crown at the top, and 6 points going through. Just remember, with the exception of the base of the skull, you can level it out with the third eye if you want to make it more equal as you're coming up and back. So breathing up, so from the perineum, just think of it, it's not the correct numbers, but just so you've got the correct idea. So from the perineum, you can count that as 1 if you like. And then coming up, tailbone, back of the tailbone of the back of the sacral, back of the navel, back of the solar plexus, back of the heart, back of the throat, back of the third eye, the crown. Now, third eye, throat, heart, solar plexus, navel, and sacral. So breathing up and around. Just feel yourself now working with all of the energy points. Really start to pay attention now as you're breathing in and you're feeling it come up to the cerebellum area or your occipital point. Feel now that balancing of the upper dantian as you work your way around the crown and the third eye. Feel the upper dantian now igniting with even more energy. As you exhale down the front, start paying attention now to the middle dantian, which is in the heart center. And as you're coming down to the lower dantian, that's a huge energy point. That's why we're doing the navel, the sacral, and then the back, which is your door of life and your opposite sacral, opposite navel. Right back down to the root, breathing up. And just feeling that convergence now. We're just going to make it nice and smooth. Breathing up the back. Breathing down the front. Breathing up the back. Feel that energy interweaving in your spine and on your skin, in your energy. And breathing down the front. Our very last breath in. And as we breathe it up, we're going to enter through that occipital point, enter through the base of the skull and into the brain. I'm going to swirl that energy around the brain now. And then as you exhale, I want you to exhale as though you're pouring it out from the third eye, and like liquid energy is coming down the front of your body, right to your feet. Just feel that going down into the earth. Just take a few calm breaths. Now just one nice deep breath in and out through the mouth. I hope that wasn't too confusing for anyone. We are going to be incorporating this again in, so for example, a spiritual Qigong, because it is an important part of how it is doing the heavenly circuit. And we'll try not to confuse you with so many points, but as we breathe in, we just want to pay attention to the fact that we're hitting these energy points as they come up and around and exhaling down. Does anyone have any questions? Well, I thank you so much. You're ever so welcome. Thank you so much for joining us in live. And thank you everyone for staying. We ran 5 minutes over. So remember that Sunday, for those who are able to join, it is the full moon meditation and energy healing. It's by donation. So if you want to join, but you don't have the funds, go ahead and join. We'd rather you be there to benefit and experience it than miss out on it. And that one's on the full moon for Sunday. I think I might have this number. There's a lot of points in it, but once you've got it, it's good. And you can choose to do whether it's the microcosmic orbit or whether it is the heavenly circuit. The microcosmic orbit sometimes might be, well, it depends, because the heavenly circuit, you're not going to pay attention to so much of the middle, like no solar plexus in it, for example. You're going to pay attention to the tailbone and base of the spine. So the perineum, tailbone, base of the spine, coming up to the back of the heart, back of the neck, back of the head, crown, third eye, and then you're breathing down the front, focusing on the heart and the navel as you come back around. So there's a lot less points in it. Excellent. And then the microcosmic orbit has a lot more points. I mean, the difference between, it doesn't sound like much, but the difference between 11 and 14 does make a difference when you're doing it and focusing on it. So you can practice both of those energy points, and it's just about bringing that whole circulation of energy around, breathing up the back, down the front, up the back, down the front. And I just like doing that one as we finish, and then just bringing it in and then just letting it all come back out. I think it finishes it nicely. You could also take it in, bring in a universal life force energy, a column of light, and just bring that in through the upper dantian, middle dantian, lower dantian. And then you can allow that to just sink down into your feet. You can also use that for cleansing energy before you start. This is also a great way of just visualizing and paying attention to circulate energy. You'll find that it starts to assist you. Once you start to circulate energy, you can build on that energy. But also, if there was any disruption in your flow, disruption in the meridians, especially on the energetic level, you can actually clear that out. So think of it like flushing it through your pipes, if you will. But we're doing this on our energetic channels. So without even doing acupressure or acupuncture points, tapping, knocking, bouncing, it's just a simple breath, simple visualization to get the flow of energy moving again without movement. So I hope all of you enjoyed this and can benefit from it a bit. The spiritual Qigong, I think it's August 14th, and that will be an actual physical Qigong movement class, but we're also going to incorporate proper Qigong meditation and ways of circulating our energy that don't involve movement, which the Heavenly Circuit happens to be. So I will let everyone go. Have yourselves a fantastic day, and I'll see you again in the next class. Bye, everyone. You're welcome.